Into match number 17 we go now, over in South America, that's right, with Argentina, Brazil and Ecuador already secure for 2026. Who will join them? That's right, we're going to hope to get a little bit closer to the answer to that question, and we're going to come at you with it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today we take a look at match number 17, goodness gracious me, over in South America, as we try to see who will join Argentina, Brazil and Ecuador in the World Cup for representing South America. We'll get into all of that and more in a second. If you're new, where you been? Smash your subscribe. You want subscribe for Blackburn Rovers World Cup qualifiers, World Cup itself, boys and girls, over in all the regions. We've got them all covered right here, right now. We're looking at who's going to be the next three nations to secure the spot in the World Cup for 2026. Who will join them? We'll get into all of that and more in a second. Big shout out to the members and the patrons. You know who you are. But let's showcase you what we're talking about. We're talking about this, guys. And it is, of course, World Cup 2026. And it's the qualifiers. So, typically, right about now, I bring you back up to date with the results last time around. But they were a long time ago when I'm running out of time here. So we're just going to showcase you where we are in the table. The table looks like this. We got Argentina, we got Ecuador and Brazil. They are there. And it looks like a point or more for Uruguay and Paraguay. And maybe even a victory for Colombia will secure the spots as well. Goodness gracious me. What are we looking at? How many games do we have left? I don't think there's that many games. I think this could be the final couple. It is the final couple. 6 points remain. We already know Chile are out. They cannot even make that. The 7th place is also up for grabs, which of course is very, very vital. And the only Chile are out. They were eliminated. They will not be going to the World Cup. No matter how way you play it. But it does look like Uruguay, Paraguay, and possibly Colombia will complete the package, but they still need to get over the line. So Bolivia, Venezuela still got aspirations, and maybe in Peru. Could even upset the apple cart and squeak into the semifinal. So still lots to be decided, but we have these three nations already done and dusted. So we're going to kick it on forward with the next round of games, and of course there was 2 of them to wrap it all up right here, right now. In the month of September, goodness gracious me, it's been a long old qualification phase. When did the match number 1 start? Match number 1 was all the way back in 2023. So as soon as this game's done, we'll be on to the next one. Got a couple of different fonts going on here. I've gone a bit crazy, gone a bit wild on the edit here. We've got 2 different fonts. What kind of font will be the goals or my predictions? So let's get into it then, shall we? Kick it all off with a trip to Argentina, that's right, as they take on Venezuela. Goodness gracious me, it's coming at you at the Estadio Monumental Antonio Vencusco Liberty over in Argentina. Under the stewardship of Lionel Scaloni, they're top of the pops. They are going to the World Cup. They might experiment a little bit with this team up against Venezuela, who have got aspirations to return to the World Cup. I think they've been to a World Cup. Correct me if I'm wrong. They may or may not. That's one for you guys to answer in the comments. Have Venezuela qualified for a World Cup in the past? They sit 7th right now. That they're in the playoff spot, which of course has got its own journey and itself. So currently they're doing all right, but they would like to get a little bit closer, and they still have aspirations to maybe gate crash the top 6. Anyway, they played 16 times in 2003. 11 wins Argentina. We got 2 wins Venezuela. There's been 3 draws between the 2 sides. They already played previously in Venezuela, and it ended up being a draw. That was back on the wife's birthday. Back in 2024, goodness gracious me. But Argentina coming into this unbeaten against Venezuela over the last 4 matches. But the record is not too great over Venezuela. Coming into this, Argentina on the back of a draw against Colombia. Venezuela did lose to Uruguay most recently. Do I have odds? I do have odds. I'm just going to tell you, of course, Argentina overwhelming favourites. They're massively favoured. They should win this game. I've gone with a 3-0 win, which puts Venezuela in a bit of a pickle heading into the second round of matches. Let's kick it on forward and take a little look then, shall we, at Colombia taking on Bolivia. That's right, coming at you in Colombia, the Estadio Metropolitano Roberto Melendez. Colombia, managed by Nestor Lorenzo, coming into sitting in 6th right now. They've kind of fallen off at big style in the qualification ranks, up against Bolivia, who are still fighting some way, shape, or maybe for Venezuela's spot in the playoffs. Who knows? But anyway, they're coming into in 8th with 17 points. They played 15 times in 2003. We've got 10 wins Colombia, 2 wins Bolivia. There's been 3 draws coming into this. Colombia are on 25% form for them right now. Winless in the last 6 matches up against Bolivia, who are coming into this on the back of a win. But of course, the rest of them not great form heading into this. Now, over the course of time, Colombia have a 5-0 win over Bolivia. Bolivia's highest score against Colombia was a 4-0 win. In fact, Colombia scored 25 goals to Bolivia's 10 over the course of those 15 matches, picking up a 1.67 goals a game ratio compared to Bolivia's 0.67 goals a game ratio. However, that doesn't matter. That's all out the window, because last time that these 2 sides played, back in October, once again, 1-0 winners it was for Bolivia. That was on match day number 9. But if you want to take a look back, the last time they played in Colombia, it was a 3-0 win for Colombia, who have got a good record against Bolivia. of the last three. They've won them all 3 times in Colombia, haven't conceded the goal against them. So does that change this time around? The bookies say no. Of course, they back Colombia. And of course, when you get to these kind of matches in South America, the ultras are out. It's hardcore. It's very difficult to get results against the Colombians, the Bolivians, the Venezuelans in their own backyard. So, but I'm going to go Colombia on this one, which again puts Bolivia pretty much where we were and heading into the final game, where it's probably all on the line, kitchen sink job, you would imagine. Paraguay, they're up against it, taking on Ecuador. Currently, Paraguay find themselves in 5th, and they could also be going back to the World Cup now. So I take on Ecuador, who are already there. Coming out on the 4th of September at the Estadio Defensores de Chaco. Paraguay under Gustavo Alfalfa right now, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Because Ecuador under Sebastian Beccaccini, unbeaten in at least the last 6. Now, they played 12 times in 2003. 5 wins Paraguay, 3 wins Ecuador. There's been 4 draws between these two sides. Of course, Paraguay coming into this with a nice record against Ecuador. Their biggest win was a 5-1 win over them. They picked up 20 goals in the 12 matches, 1.67 goals a game. Up against Ecuador with a 4-1 win on the record, on the history books against Paraguay. They've scored 19 goals against them, picking up 1.58 goals a game. But all that out the window. Last time they played in Ecuador, it was a 0-0 scoreline way back in match number 9. But the last time they played in Paraguay, 3-1 win as it was for Paraguay, who've got back-to-back wins over Ecuador at Paraguay. In fact, 3 wins on the spin, unbeaten in at least the last 6 against Ecuador at this very venue. The bookies, though, they do give it to Paraguay again. Home form goes into this. Ecuador already there. I don't really think it's going to differentiate, affect their situation in the old qualification by getting a ring. So they might take it easy. They might rotate it up a little bit. So I'm going to go with a draw, though, a point apiece. Again, Paraguay not there yet, but I think a point may just about do it to secure their spot. Let's go to the final couple here. We got Uruguay. They're taking on Peru. That's right, coming to the Estadio Centenario. Uruguay under Marcelo Bielsa. They are 4th right now. They are 24 points to their name. They've got a bit of a checkered record right now. 1-2 lost to and drawn to over the last 6. Up against Peru and Oscar Ibanez, technically still in it. But they need snookers, to be honest with you. They need to win both these next 2 games and hope, I think, Venezuela lose back-to-back or whoever's in that 7th spot. I think it is Venezuela. Anyway, they played 18 times since 1930. Wow, we were 8 wins for Uruguay, 6 wins for Peru, 4 draws between the two sides. Uruguay coming into this with a 6-0 win on the record, 27 goals scored against Peru, 1.50 goals a game. Peru, though, 3-0 win on the record. They got 21 goals scored in the 18 matches, 1.17 goals a game. Now, the reverse fixture was a 1-0 win for Peru. In Peru back in October, match day number 9. But the previous match they played at Uruguay was a 1-0 win as well. Again, home form goes, home stature in these matches are absolutely massive. Bookies will go with Uruguay here. Massively fancy Peru, not so much. Going to go with a 2-1 win for Uruguay. Again, no major upset, looks like at the moment, in my 5 picks. And then we wrap it all up with a trip to Brazil. Again, already qualified. Chile already eliminated. Bit of a dead rubber, really. So maybe a chance for Carlo Ancelotti to kind of experiment with his Brazilian side. I guess Chile under Ricardo Garcia have been a very, very miserable campaign for Chile from the get-go. They've never really looked into it. This is at the Maracanã. Brazil coming into 3rd in the table, just 1 defeat in the last 6 up against Chile, winless in the last 4. They played 21 times since 1962, 18 wins. Brazil, just 1 win for Chile. 2 draws between the two sides. Now, Chile, that one and only victory was a 2-0 win. They've scored 16 goals against Brazil over the course of the 21 matches, 0.76 goals a game. Brazil, though, have a 6-1 win on the record. They got 58 goals against Chile, 2.76 goals a game on average. Now, the last time that these two sides played, it was in Chile, back in match day when it was a 2-1 win for Brazil. The last time they played in Brazil itself was back in March 2022. They've won 6 of the bats. They have one and only victory for Chile. It wasn't that long ago of the grand scheme of things, back in October 2015. But they ain't going to win this one, are they? The bookies will back Brazil heavily to the hilt. Going to go with a 3-1 win for Brazil to take the 3 points. And again, already there. But even with an experimental lineup, they'll do all right. And yeah, so then we'll come back for the next round, the final round of qualifiers, and maybe we'll already know the 6 nations that have qualified, and maybe we'll already know who's made that 7th place their own. Of course, that's all to look forward to. But until then, I'll subscribe, smash the like. We'll see you soon. I'm out of here.